Welcome to the Agents of the Unexplained podcast. From a haunted abandoned asylum to Sasquatch lurking in the dark woods and watching you, and all things unexplained, here are the stories from outside our realm. With your host, Bill Rigby.
Hello, everyone. Hey, we're here tonight with a really great researcher, a really good friend. I consider a brother, tell you the truth. He has so much knowledge. He has seen a lot of stuff, and we're going to try to cover it all, which we don't have enough time in one day. But let me bring him in. My man, Steve Blair. Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
It's going. It's been a long running day.
Oh, yes, it has. Yeah, the last few days have been long.
Yes, but beautiful weather out there.
Oh, yes.
And I see that you're dressed for the weather, too.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I got a T-shirt on. I was going to do a muscle shirt. I said, nah, better not. I'm too white. I'll blind people.
Oh, come on now, but you got to show off the guns.
Not anymore, I don't. I don't have them anymore.
The 24-inch pythons.
Oh, don't I wish? But no, seriously, I got out in the woods for a little bit the other day, and I haven't really got out much, and I need to. What's going on here? Why ain't that coming up? Oh, there we go. I'm bringing up over here, so in case anyone comments, I can see who comments. And which one was that? That the puppy or is that the golden doodle?
That was one of the puppies.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, they're over there wrestling around and
those are sweet-looking puppies. And his wife was showing me a couple of them. And it's like, oh, my God, my wife's going to kill me. But seriously, last year when I met you, finally in person, we were at Corky's.
Yes.
It was a Memorial weekend. When I got there, as soon as I got out of my vehicle and start walking up, there was a knock.
Oh, yeah.
And then about an hour or two later, you showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the knock was across the highway.
Right.
But when you showed up, you came up to me. I was up by the picnic area, and it was crazy because as soon as you got there, there was a knockdown over in the ravine.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, they're letting us know. They know we're here.
Oh, yeah. And the crazy thing, Bill, it's like it happens like that all the time over there.
I know.
Corky's research area, people that watch like his YouTube videos and his live streams and stuff like that, the stuff that he's got going on over there, it just some of the stuff that he talks about and the audios and the videos and the live streams, it doesn't do justice.
No, it don't. I agree 110%. Because, some people says, that doesn't look good. But let me tell you, late that night, Cork hung some small metal buckets. I mean, just small with peanuts in them. Mm-hmm. And he put a couple glow sticks on them.
Yeah.
He stuck them up in the wood lines there. And we're all just BSing back and forth, just having a good old time. Mm-hmm. Sharing knowledge and just sharing BS.
Yeah.
And I looked up the hill and I went, did that move? So I'm looking again and I start going like this. I went, guys.
Oh, yeah.
That bucket's moving. Everyone has jumped up and started looking up there. And then, of course, Jay brought out the thermal. And that's how we saw it. There was two of them sitting up there eating the peanuts watching us.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to watch, like with those glow sticks. He's got. I remember. I don't know if it was last year, maybe it was a year before. He had taken somebody that had come out, had bought him like a blow up beach ball. And
Yes.
it was probably
I
about
remember that. Yeah.
Hooked it to a string, stuck the glow stick down inside of it, took it up on the hillside there where they come down and watch us. And there was no breeze blowing, no nothing. I mean, it was just dead calm. And you're sitting there, and maybe for the first hour or so, hour and a half, the ball's not moving. It's just sitting there, and we wasn't really hearing anything right off the get-go at that point in time, at that, that
right
weekend. And we're just sitting there. And I think there was 3 or 4 of us there that night. And all of a sudden, that beach ball, now keep in mind, no breeze blowing, no nothing. And he's got the thing hanging just high enough off the ground that, the raccoons aren't going to get to it, or any possums or deer or anything like that to bump into it and it's going to move or whatever. This ball, all of a sudden, goes up in the air and looks like it's like 6 to 7 feet off the ground, and it's just sitting up there. And then all of a sudden it just drops. And then after it, drops and it moves a little bit, the next thing you know, it starts swinging out this way, and then it comes back and swings out that way. And they're up there tapping it with their hands or whatever. And it's just to sit there and watch something like that happen and know that it's not a human being up there doing it.
It's just awesome.
And then to look through a thermal and be able to see, a figure up there doing it. And and in the thermal hit, you've got like a full figure. It's not like
exactly.
It's easy to tell the difference between if it was human, somebody wearing clothes, whether it be shorts, t-shirt, pair of jeans, or you're only going to have certain areas that are going to show up, hotter on the screen as an image.
Yes.
Temperature-wise. And when you got a full body that's showing temperature like that, it's
just awesome, phenomenal, no matter what.
And it's mind-blowing. And for someone that has never, we've had a couple people up there that have never experienced anything like that, the very first time out, they're able to hear the tree knocks or a couple of whoops or a howl, or one that very, very similar resembles like the Ohio howl.
Right.
And, to see them have goosebumps and hair standing up on their arms and, and they're all excited and pumped about it. They're like, "Whoa, dude, did you hear? Whoa," like flipping out. And it's like, that's an
exactly.
It's
And,
an awesome feeling.
Court, before I went there, Court kept saying, don't expect anything, because usually they're pretty quiet and try to shy away from us when there are new people around, which that would have been me.
Right.
Jay's been there. Phil's been there before too. Hey, Becky, everyone was there before but me. So I'm figuring, I'm going to jinx it. We ain't going to see nothing. But, that first knock is like, oh, yeah, okay. But when you got there, that's the next knock. And it was right down below us. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And it turned out to be a great night. And I learned a lot from you and the other guys. And, it's just, it was totally amazing, to be there for that, and we all had a great time, and Barbara Jean's watching us. Hi, Barb. She, hi, Megan. Megan's here too. That's great. She's my buddy, Megan Baker. But
one thing that I'm thankful for is, when I first got into all this, and it's going on, I don't know, maybe 12 to 14, 15 years now. The opportunity that Doug Waller from the Sosby Group gave me is, what I belong to. He just happened to private message me because he'd seen a comment that I was talking to somebody on Facebook, and it was an open discussion. And he just happened to message me and say, "Hey, if you're interested, give me a call. Here's my number. Message me and we'll talk." And he invited me out to his group. And that weekend, I was on my first investigation. It's something I had wanted to do my whole life. Never knew how to or how to get into it or whatever at that point in time. That was the first investigation, and we lucked out there, found tracks, and found a big structure that looked like something was living inside of. And but the second investigation I went out, I got called out to Corky Marples, and we've been really good friends, close friends ever since.
Yeah.
And that's allowed the opportunity for me to, I was just talking to him the other night, and, he told me, get a hold of me whenever. He goes, whenever you want to come out, whatever you want to do, we can go out squatch, come up, sit at the fire or whatever. And like I said, it's a great way for me to be able to go over there and hang out with a good friend all evening until wee hours or whatever and experience what's going on out there.
Exactly.
I've been able to learn a lot from just observing out there. And I give a big credit out to Jay Fouch because I've learned a lot from watching him and listening to him and, doing what he tells me the few times that I've went out with him. And, he's an amazing person, boots on the ground, hardcore,
Yeah, I've been wanting to meet him. And I finally did at my camp out. He couldn't come and camp and he was upset about it because he had to work. But he came out that Friday night. He messaged me. He says, "You going to be up late?" I says, "We could." He says, "Well, I get done work at 11. I got to go home. Then I want to come out and see you guys for a little bit." And I went, "All right." And I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm tired, but I'm staying up. I'm finally getting to meet Jay." And I'm so thankful I did. Yeah. He's another one with wealth of information too. And a lot of people say, his pictures are all yucky, blurry. They don't see good. But he's wrong. He's totally wrong. Doug says, have Steve talk about Rocky Fork Road and Road 57. We'll definitely do that, Doug. But Jay.
Another one I seen on there just a second ago that said hi was Jeff Wanger.
Yes.
He's another awesome individual. He knows his stuff.
That's another brother of mine right there. I'm telling you, I love the man dearly.
I met him through Corky, and I've got the utmost respect for that guy.
He's the one that got me to meet Corky.
From
the first time we start messaging each other, we hit it off. And I got nothing but respect for Jeff. Yeah. Nothing but, he's another one, a wealth of information. He doesn't like to go public about a lot of stuff.
Right.
But he will talk to you face to face and tell you, and you better be listening.
Oh yeah.
So Jay, Corky, Jeff, even you, even Mr. Doug Waller. I got nothing but respect for all you guys. You guys give us so much information, and you share it, and that's how we learn. Doug's been doing a lot of talking at libraries lately, and I'm hoping he's getting a lot more reports that he can share with everyone. And
even as an author, I mean, he's got some good books out there too, with a lot of good information, a lot of good material on that.
Yes.
On Ohio, different people's encounters, sightings, and things that have went on, things that he's went out and investigated, and another just awesome individual. I pretty much owe a lot to Doug Waller.
Yeah, I got nothing but respect for you, all of you guys. That's the thing. That's how all of us learn, and if we share the information we get, and able to, the people allow us, the people that report their sightings, whatever, allow us to share it, and without giving out too much information, we can cross-check with our own reports and that, and see what kind of activities going on in that area, not specific right on the same spot, but the whole area there. And that's how we learn stuff. And I keep saying this, and I'm going to say it throughout the whole evening. And that's what it's all about. And that's what you guys do.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, Doug puts it all in books, but he'll still talk to you about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. That's a big difference in some people I know that, you know, they go out, they research, and then you don't know what they find out.
Right.
You know, is it right or is it wrong? You know, so, but that's the thing. So let's go back. Let's hear about Rocky Fork Road.
All right. Well, here's for one instant. We went out there, me and my wife, Donna, and I think we had the kids with us that weekend. We drove out there, and at the time there was somebody at the time that was a buddy of mine, and his son was following behind us. And I didn't know that anybody else was going to go out there before this. And I don't remember for sure if it was the night before or it was earlier that evening, you know, but it was late at night either way.
Right.
Down on Rocky Fork Road, left group camp there at Parker, went down to Rocky Fork, and we're driving up through there, and I'm in the lead. We're in the pickup truck I had at the time. And as we're driving along, we come up around this one bend, and on the left-hand side, there was this like a grassy, high weeded area with some sapling trees and stuff, you know, before it goes back into the thicker, you know, big hardwoods, you know.
Right.
And stuff. And I glanced over to the left because something out of the corner motion caught me out of the corner of my eye. I looked over and I seen this thing walking along. It wasn't black. It was almost like a blondish, like a sandy, dingy salt and pepper kind of color.
Right.
I couldn't tell if it had a head. You know, I don't know if it was lurched forward with a head or it was just sunken in and you just couldn't tell the difference between head and shoulders because there was no neck. And
yeah.
Whatever it was just moseying along. It wasn't going fast or anything. It was just walking along. Was there 1 second and gone the next. It was almost like it vanished into thin air. So I kept on driving, but the whole way up to this little bridge up there where we were going to drive in and turn around and come back out, I kept looking at my wife saying, I know I seen something back there. I seen something. There was something big walking back there and it just disappeared. Now, the two guys that were following behind my truck, there was a gap, I'm going to say maybe 50 feet or so in between their vehicle and my vehicle. And when we got up to the bridge, they pulled up and they're like, hey, and the second guy that was in the vehicle was the other one's oldest son. And he's like, hey, you know, Blaine's got something to tell you. We seen something back there. And I'm like, I didn't tell him what I saw. I wanted to hear what he had to say first, so it would kind of confirm in my mind, okay, I know I saw something now. He told me that they seen this blondish, dirty-looking thing. They think it was a Bigfoot. Big, tall, barrel-chested. Came across through the weeds and crossed, after I went past it, crossed in between their vehicle and my vehicle and disappeared on the other side of the road.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So
that's why it disappeared on you.
Yeah. So then I was like, dude, I seen it. I knew I seen something back there, you know, and all this and that. So we left there and we went back to group camp after we got turned around and everything. And when we went in, the one lady came over and said, hey, did you guys see anything out there on Rocky Fork tonight? And I told her, you know, what we had seen, and Blaine and his dad, they told her what Blaine had seen. And right away, she started flipping out. She's like, look, you got to come talk to Bob and Misty because they seen something out there too. And we're like,
oh, shit.
Well, what they seen, they didn't know if it was like a phantom type thing that just kind of dematerialized and disappeared or what. But same area. I believe it was really close to the same spot where I seen this thing and where they seen it cross the road. But our story kind of matched up with what they seen. So it was kind of like I don't know what you want to call it.
That collaborates everything together.
It's like a collaboration to where, if you've got, 4 or 5 people that can say, hey, we seen this. Yep. And then we're looking at them saying, well, we seen this. And we didn't know that they seen anything. They didn't know that we seen anything, but we all met back up at group camp and was like, dude, out on Rocky Fork Road, we just seen this like, a half hour ago. And they're like, no way, well, we just seen this, earlier or the night before or whatever it was. And it was in the same area, same exact.
Yeah, that is, and that's what I mean. If you share this information, you can collaborate these things and realize what is going on in that area.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
And then also down there on Rocky Fork, we was there one night. There was a whole bunch of us that went down there, and we parked. There's some. I don't know if you've ever been down on Rocky Fork Road, Bill.
I don't think I was.
All right. Well, there's an area down there where there's great big, huge boulders and big rock formations that goes up, on the left side there. And there's a lot of paranormal stuff that goes on down there too. And my wife.
I'm going to go there next week then.
Yeah.
I got to go there then. Okay.
And my wife, she doesn't care for Rocky Fork Road. It spooks the heck out of her. It's just one of those areas where she just gets a bad feeling, bad vibe. She doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So, but there was a bunch of us that went down there this one night, and we all got our vehicles turned around, and we're facing back up, parked on the edge of the road. And we all get out, and we're walking down the road, looking up towards these boulders and just seeing if we could hear anything. Maybe do a tree knock or let out a whoop or, a howl or something like that. See if we can get a response. And my wife, she refused to get out of the truck. She's in there, her and the kids. And she's sitting there. And after we all disappeared, she locked the doors and everything. And we're probably maybe 100 yards down the road, standing in the dark, just listening, see if we could hear anything. We get back to the truck. And she said that she looked over to the left, kind of catty corner up on the hillside towards where these boulders are at. And she's seen this like white foggy mist working its way down the hill that looked like people walking. They come out in the road and walked right past the truck. She said it looked like spirits, but they were like see-through mist, kind of foggish type material.
Wow.
And walked right past the truck and disappeared into the darkness. She said she watched him come down off the hill, cross the ditch, and walk right up past the pickup truck while her and the kids are in there with the doors locked shut. And and she doesn't like it one bit. In fact, there was
I can understand that.
There was an A-frame house for sale down there on Rocky Fork Road, and fairly close to the same area right there on Rocky Fork. And I kept joking around, telling her we're going to buy that place, and that's where we're going to move to. And she wasn't happy. Not happy.
I can imagine what she was telling you. Yeah. It's like, well, I can understand, seeing something like that would freak her out.
Oh yeah.
Where she don't want to be down in that area.
Yeah, Rocky Fork's like, some of the other areas like 57. It's just a hot spot. There's a lot of activity that goes on up there.
Well, at the bottom of 57, that's just below the group camp area.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the group camp area is a hot spot.
Oh yeah.
Well, as you know, that's where my sighting was at. It's up off the group camp area and on the Buckeye Trail. Mm-hmm. And it still freaks me out sometimes just thinking about it. But, because that first time going down there for that, I'm not going to see anything. Too many people go to Salt Fork, there ain't no way. I hope to hear the how very first night. What the hell I see that sucker over there, you know. Yeah, that kind of freaked me out. But yeah, you know.
Oh,
yeah, 57. Yeah, I heard so many stories about down on 57 from different ones.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if you want, I can give you. I don't know if it's a quick story, but I can try to make it as short as I can.
Go for it, brother.
About 57. We were actually this is quite a few years ago. The wife and I and the kids, and we had my other daughter Elena with us. We were at a group meeting, one of Doug Sosby library meetings when we used to hold them at the Crossroads Branch Library there in Cambridge.
Right.
And after the meeting was over, there was a lady that used to attend the meetings, go to the campouts. She decided to say, hey, let's do an impromptu. We weren't planning it or anything, so we didn't have any flashlights, no gear, no nothing. It was just hey, let's leave the meeting after it's over and drive down to 57, and we'll sit there in the dark and see if we can't hear anything. So, okay. So we decided to go. And it was kind of foggy out, and whatnot, but you could still kind of see a little bit, it wasn't one of those pitch black dark nights, but, it was a little bit foggy. So we get down there at 57 and we're outside, at this point, the kids were kind of scared, didn't want to get out of the vehicle. So we told them, just stay in the truck, lock the doors, crack the windows down a little bit, and we're going to stay in it's like a little cul-de-sac.
Right.
Like type, parking lot type thing. So we're not going to leave that area. We'll be right out here. And so we're out there. Kids are in a truck, like I said. And, for a little while there, we wasn't hearing anything, wasn't seeing anything, no nothing suspicious or questionable. And I'd say at that point, we were there probably for a good half hour, 45 minutes. And one of the guys that was down there with us, he said, Steve, why don't you do like a whoop or a howl or something and see if you can get a response. So I let out a pretty loud whoop. And at first, nothing. And I did it again. And then all of a sudden, Rich and I, an old buddy of mine that I used to be friends with, he's like, Steve, he was like off to the left side of that cul-de-sac, but he was looking out across that little swampy area.
Right.
Where the bridge is.
Yep.
Just to the left of the bridge area. And he's like, Steve, get over here. He goes, I think I see something move over here. There's something out there. So I go over there and I'm looking, and at first it kind of looked like almost like a big tree stump. And I'm watching it because he's telling me that, this is what he thought he seen move. And next thing you know, this thing like stood up. It went from being like, maybe 4.5 off the ground to being, much bigger, much taller than what we are as human beings. I'm 6'2", 6'3". It was bigger than me. And
yeah.
And then it disappeared again behind that. It was like the high weeded area. I don't know if they're cattails or what they are, but back there in that thick stuff, it disappeared. We couldn't tell where it went, where it was headed, what its intentions were, or anything like that. And so we're just kind of standing there. And next thing I know, I hear my one daughter that was in the truck, Elena. I could hear her. She started crying. And I could hear her, far enough away from the truck that we were, I could still hear her inside the truck. So I looked over, I told everybody, I said, hey, that's Elena crying. I got to go check on her, see what's wrong. So I start walking back across that cul-de-sac in the dark, and I get up to the truck, and she hit the unlock button, and she opened it up. And at that point, she's got tears coming down both cheeks. She's crying, saying that she's seen something. So I'm like, all right. And she's like, I want to get out of here, Dad, all this and that. So I was like, all right, you know what? Come with me for a second. We'll go get these guys and we're out of here. And, if the kids were feeling scared, I wasn't going to keep them in that situation.
Right.
And soon as she got out of the truck, all of a sudden I heard a real loud splash in the water over where everybody else was standing, out in front of them to the left of that bridge. And I heard the one lady yell, "Oh no, that's it, we're out of here." And next thing I know, everybody's running across that cul-de-sac towards their vehicle. And it was just 2 vehicles, but there was like 4 people in one, me, Dawn, and the kids in the other. And I was like, "What happened?" And the one guy that was there said that the thing that we seen on the other side picked up what looked like a big rock or a big chunk of wood or something, and it threw it, and it hit the water right in front of where these guys were standing.
Oh, shoot.
So that was enough to scare a couple of them bad enough that they wanted to leave. So we get to the truck. They get to their, I think it was a Envoy or Trailblazer or something like that.
Yeah.
And we get in the truck, and I looked at Elaine again, and I asked her, I said, "What did you see?" She told me while we were all standing over there on the other side of that cul-de-sac, where the woods, when you first drive into 57, if you're looking out the passenger window, the woods on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
she's seen something walk out of those woods. It walked right up to the pickup truck, and she said you could only see from the waist up on it. The rest of it was above the pickup truck. And she said
wow.
it stopped at her window, and it leaned down and was looking in the window at them. And she said all you could see was its eyes, and everything else was dark colored and covered in hair.
Corky says he think he was there, Witchins.
He might have been there that night. I don't remember for sure. There was a small hand. There was a handful of us down there, and it stood back up and started coming towards the back of the pickup truck, towards us. You know, it was at that point putting itself in between the kids, the vehicle, and us. It was like past the pickup truck, headed towards us. Now, I don't know what its intentions were, but it purposely put itself between us and the kids. So now at that point, we've got 2 of them down there. There's one across.
Yes.
On the other side, we got one that came out from the right side. And Elena said that when I started coming back across that cul-de-sac, which I never seen it, she said it took off back across the side of the pickup truck and disappeared into the woods on the right-hand side. If you're out of there, it'd be on the
right
side. So at that point, everybody's in their vehicles. We start to pull up out of there, and I'm in the lead, and everybody else is behind me. And as we pull up out of there, all of a sudden, next thing I know is my phone starts going off, and the one guy said, "Hey, Steve, something just hit the side of my vehicle." And it actually like moved the whole vehicle. I said, "Did you hit a stick, a rock, something bounce up and hit underneath the wheel well?" Or he's like, "No." It said it felt like somebody nailed the side, like just hit the side of it. So, all right, well, we didn't have any lights or anything. We were going to wait till we got somewhere where there was some lights so we could see what was going on.
Right.
And as we're driving up out of there, my son, Michael, he's like, all of a sudden I heard something hit the side of my truck as we're driving. And there's like a little embankment there. As you're coming up that first bend, there's an embankment on the right.
Yeah.
And he told me that he was actually able, even though it was dark out, he's seen something standing on that embankment. And it looked like it had something in its hand, and it went like this and threw it at my truck as we were driving past. And it hit the side of my truck. And at that point, the guy that was following behind me, he flips his headlights on high because he said he's seen something up there throwing something at my truck. He said it was reddish in color and covered in hair. It wasn't black or blondish or anything. It was kind of had a reddish color to it.
Right.
So anyways, we get up out of there and we pull up into the parking lot. I think we were at the administration building when you first pull into the state park.
Yeah.
The right-hand side there's a ranger station or administration building, some bathrooms. It was either there or we stopped up at that BP station that's up on 22, Route 22. It's one of the two. But anyways, we get out, go over, and we look at the right side of his vehicle where he said something hit it. And there was a handprint about this big, and it looked like the fingers were about at least 6-inch long fingers. And the thumb was way down here on the print. So it was, it was an opposing thumb, but you could tell that it was it wasn't a handprint like a human like this.
Right.
The thumb was way down here and come out, and then the fingers were up like this, and they were real long fingers, and it dented in the quarter panel on the back side of the vehicle that he was driving. It dented it in, and you can see it plain as day in the dust and stuff that was on the vehicle. Plain as day, a handprint.
That is crazy. Oh, man.
We were down at 57 one night and got some good FLIR picture heat image on the thermal of a couple going up out of there, and the one up front was carrying a little one.
Oh, sweet.
Which it's Doug. It's on Doug's page. If you go to the Sosby Facebook page,
right,
there's a picture of it in there.
I know. I hear a lot of reports about 57, and they don't like you down there for some reason. They don't like people down there.
Right.
I don't know. That might be where they take their kids.
Right.
But I hear a lot of stuff happens down in there, and it's not happy stuff either.
Right.
So, and I like going down there because of that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little crazy. I don't know.
We heard the Ohio Howl down there. Corky, I know Corky was with us that night too. I think I don't know if they were double back to back, but I know at least one time we heard the Ohio Howl. And if not, it was very, very similar. Long and drawn out, that siren howl.
Right.
And just plain as day. I mean, it was just amazing. Amazing. It's just
at Mike Hartman's camp out last September at the group camp area. I finally got to hear the Ohio Howl. Woke my butt right up out in the bed. You know, and it was long and drawn out. It's like, I'm like, what the? Oh my God. Yeah. So I got all excited. I couldn't get my recorder in time. Because I finally got in my pack and I started digging. I didn't get it out in time. I'm like, you dummy.
Yeah.
But
out of all the places though at Salt Fork, you know, you got group camp there on Parker Road, and it's just as good as pretty much anywhere in that state park, in my opinion.
Yeah.
After hours, late hours, wee hours of the morning, 2, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Anytime after midnight on. I mean, we've heard tree knocks, whoops, howls, you know, the heavy footfalls in the middle of the night when you're in your tent, you know. And,
yes.
I could tell you, like down there at group camp on Parker Road one time, the very first time I took Donna there, and I think we had a babysitter for the kids that weekend. It was just us that went, if I'm not mistaken. And there was us two and one of the other ladies that used to be part of the group. We decided to go on a Thursday and camp Thursday night through Sunday. And we were the only ones that camped there on Thursday. We all day, all evening, we were the only ones there. Nobody drove through to check on us. No, nothing. We had a nice fire going, nice time, just kind of sitting around and listening to the wildlife and just having good conversation and everything. And that evening, I mean, we were up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it hadn't dawned on me, but all day long and all evening up to that point, it was nice weather, clear skies, stars were out. It was nice, bright, clear evening. Wasn't too cold or anything, just right. But it took me till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to figure out, hey, you know what? I haven't heard no crickets, no tree frogs, no nothing. No
not a peep. Not a peep.
All evening, all afternoon, there was not a sound. You could hear a pin drop. And it really didn't dawn on me until that late. Hey, you know what? I wouldn't doubt whether there's a squatch somewhere around the outskirts of camp, just on the inside of woods, and it's watching us. Been keeping an eye on us, you know, kind of like we're their entertainment. It's like us watching TV. And, you know, the other lady said, you know, hey, you know what, Steve, I wouldn't doubt it. You know, it's been awful quiet for some reason. And about that time, you know, we were getting ready to call it a night. And she had her tent set up next to our tent, only, less than 10, 15 feet away. And everybody, we all got in our tents and zipped up, and I had a little battery powered lantern. I reached over and grabbed it, and I shut mine off, and I yelled over. I said, I'm going to stay awake for a little bit and listen, see if we can't hear anything, now that we're not outside, we're in our tents. Dude, within 30 seconds of us shutting the lights off, calling it a night, on the far side of camp, where the bathrooms are at, the outhouses, the other side of that, in the woods on that side, all of a sudden we hear what started out to sound like a barred owl. The cadence, who cooks food, it started out like that, but it went up to a high pitch, and then it came down into a growl that was so deep and loud that it echoed all through the camp.
Oh, yeah.
Started out as it was mimicking an owl, but then it growled. And it was one of the most deepest vocal growls I've ever heard in my life. Then you heard sticks snapping and popping, then it sounded off like a barred owl again. Came back down into this monstrous growl. The lady yells over, Steve, are you hearing this? I'm like, yeah. I said, and that ain't no owl either. She goes, I know. So I was like, just be quiet and let's see what happens. You could hear this thing. It wasn't trying to be quiet at that point at all. You could hear it busting sticks, little sapling trees, whatever it was busting its way through. It never came across the open area to get over by the tents, but we listened to this thing bust brush all the way around the edge of camp, and it came up along the backside of camp in between Parker Road and where it comes up the hill into camp.
Right.
And it came right up to the edge of the woods, right behind our tent, Donna and I, and you could hear this thing breathing. That's how close it was to us. It was taking these real deep breaths, and it was almost like it was trying to get our scent, or it was smelling us or something.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it walked past, and she's got a hold of my arm like,
that's grip.
I'm looking over at her going, just be quiet. So it walks past our tent and goes straight over to this other lady's tent that went with us. And it starts moving around out in front of her tent. It starts doing circles around her tent and making noises, and stayed away from our tent, but went right to her tent. And this went on for a few minutes until I think either the stress of the situation or she got scared or what, but it got the better of her. And next thing you know, she yelled out as loud as she possibly could, "Get out of here!" And I'll tell you what, it did. It beat feet past our tent, and I don't know how it didn't get tripped up or caught up in our rainfly cords that were out and staked into the ground.
Oh, wow.
It went right through our tent, and the whole tent shook when it went past us, and all you could hear was these massive, huge, heavy footfalls going past our tent. And when it hit the woods, it just sounded like a bulldozer going down through there, just mowing everything over. And then it went dead quiet, and we never heard nothing the rest of the night.
What's kind of weird, because, well, of course, you were inside the tent. You wasn't watching it.
Right.
The one I saw, when I got back up and started backpedaling from kneeling down, it stood up because it was kneeling down too. It stood up. And that's when my heart really started pounding hard. It's like, oh, I'm in trouble. Excuse me. But it turned and started down over the hill. And it just was walking, and it's like, oh shit, I'm busted. Okay. So I didn't really hear it going down over the hill. But I attribute that to my fear. But I never heard it come into that area either. And that's the thing. They can be so stealth-like, or they can be so noisy.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy. Someone said, "Did you smell anything?"
Yeah.
No. Did you when it was around your tent? Did you?
No, we never smelled nothing. Never smelled a thing.
All right, here's something Jeff's asking.
Okay.
Jeff's wife asked if Donna or the other lady in the tent had their period that night.
Did you? No, my wife. I don't know about the other lady, but not on this end.
She might have, because it was making beat feet to her tent.
Well, I had a theory, and there's no way to really prove this theory. Is just kind of something that I threw around in my mind back then at that point in time. Let's just say that this creature was sitting outside of group camp all afternoon or all evening
watching you guys. Yep.
And if they're as intelligent as I believe they are, I think possibly it may have been a male or maybe a young male, juvenile, whatever, but it seemed like it was big by the noise it was making. But I'm thinking it was a male, and it was able to decipher. It was
she was by herself.
She was by herself, didn't have no man with her, no husband, no nothing like that, and was able to distinguish the fact that Donna and I were there together.
Yep.
It watched Donna and I go into our tent together, and the other lady went into her tent by herself. So I'm thinking it's very possible that this thing may have been showing off for her, went to her tent.
They trying to get her to come out to be with.
Basically, yeah, I think it was almost like just trying to.
All right, that's Corky said that as you saying the creature was watching you guys know she was single. Yes.
Yeah.
Debbie Preggy and I we haven't been to the farm lately, but we were going to this one farm over here in Mercer County. And the farmer had one walk across in front of him. And we've been researching it. We found prints and we found different things. Well, the one day we were in there, and me and Debbie don't stick side by side. We spread out and check things out. We see something, hey, there's something here. All right, so and then one or the other goes to each other. Well, all of a sudden, I got hit with infrasound. Debbie didn't. I did. And I believe it was a young male trying to get me away from her so she can be there with him. I didn't realize that she leaves with me too. But, I'm laughing about it right now, but it did. It got me very weak. And knees, I had no power. I was getting sick. I was getting a headache. Yeah. And I had to sit down, and Debbie, she called Mary Fabian up real quick and explained to Mary what was going on. And Mary said, infrasound, I bet you.
Yeah.
And I got to kind of agree with that one because I think it was trying to separate us. And and with that experience you guys had, I think it was a young male trying to get to that other lady, knowing she was single. I agree with you. And Corky, our other fellow semi-smart guy. No, seriously, Cork, I agree 110% with you. I had to notice that she was single. And I go to Corky for information too about things. And he still says my first infrasound thing, I probably went through a portal. I don't know. I think it still might have been infrasound because I kind of got lost in that woods I know, but ended up totally a different area and don't know how I got there. He could be right. I don't know, but it was weird. But and what Jeff asked, he wasn't being ignorant with that question, folks, because they can smell that. And to them, that's like, hey, they're in heat.
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, there's been a few times where some of us have went to go out squatching at night. And if there's any women in the group that's going, somebody normally brings up the question of, hey, is it that time of the month? Because if so, you may want to reconsider going.
Right.
Because you can't predict what's going to happen. You know,
Nope.
As intelligent as these things are, they're still wild. You're out in the woods. You don't know what's going to happen. And that's just one thing that could possibly set one off on a charge and come in and take you.
Yeah, exactly. 110%. I agree. 110%.
It may not happen, but you know, there's no sense in taking that.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. We're going to be straight out with them for their safety.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people go with guns.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went out there twice.
Hey, be nice.
I only went out twice with a gun on me. And usually I don't go out at all with a gun. I got a knife.
Yeah.
That ain't going to do no damage to a Bigfoot. Right. But, you know, I'd rather be safe than doing something stupid. Hello, Mr. Jack Warren. He just showed up.
How we doing, Jack?
Yeah. The thing is, though, you know, Jack's the one that first invited me down to the so speak camp out.
Uh-huh.
And he says, if you want to have activity, you come on down here. I says, Mary Pagan's been telling me to come down, but since you invited me, I'm going to go. I'm not just going to show up at someone else's group and just say, hey, I'm here. Right after I got set up and that, me and Jack's talking because he's already there, already setting up. I went, damn, you beat me. And he said, yep, I always try to get here, be the first one. I said, I was trying to be, but you beat me. But anyhow, we started talking. He told me about the time he saw an arm come out from the side of the woods behind a tent. And there was a table that had a bag of chips and grabbed the chips and disappeared. Yeah. I went, oh, wow. And that night I had my sighting. It's like, it's all Jack's fault. I blame Jack because it made me go farther down this rabbit hole we're in.
Yeah.
But no, seriously. And
it always, you know what, at group camp, it always seems to be good. You know, like when Jack's there, when Jack's around, it never fails. There's always some decent activity that goes on.
Oh, yes. They like Jack.
I think so.
I think it's his aftershave. But like Becky Brown just said, Corky taught her not to wear her cotton candy scented perfume. Yes, that's true. And that is very true. I try not to wear any type of cologne when I'm going out there, you know, truthfully, because I don't know if I have them do good. And, yeah, wait a minute. Here we go. Corky just showed something. Can you see what he wrote?
Yeah.
He had an issue here once with a young lady, and one came up 12 feet away, acting very aggressive, making monkey sounds. I had to tell her she needs to leave after walking her to the car. He followed us, throwing rocks and making aggressive sounds. Well, yeah. That young lady probably was her time. Yeah, you just don't know, and you got to be careful. And yeah, we got ladies coming to the camp out, and I'm glad they're coming. You know, seriously, but you know, we got to watch out for them too.
Yeah.
You know, because it is a very active spot.
Mm-hmm. Well, that, yeah. And if there's any children there that are young age children, it's always good to keep an eye on them too. You know,
yes.
If they're out playing, keep an eye looking, you know, over your shoulder every now and again to make sure they're all right and everyone's accounted for, because these things have been known to be very curious of children as well.
Well, I'm going to say this. A friend of ours, we became friends. She came with her 2 granddaughters to the one. And needless to say, I kept an eye out while they were there around the camp area. And I don't care what people thought. They were the only 2 young girls there. And I was keeping an eye out on them because just thinking what the Bigfoot could do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd run up and get myself killed to save a kid. Yep. I don't care. And you're right. Keep an eye out on them because they're known to take kids. I've heard stories. And then there's that one a couple of years ago. That kid said a bear kept them alive and fed them.
Yeah.
Now, how did a bear feed them?
Yeah, I think. I think that child was young enough. He may have thought that was a child or a bear, but I think those that
knows it wasn't.
Knows exactly what it was.
And the thing is, the kid said he picked them up and kept them warm.
Yeah.
How did the bear pick them up? He didn't say he picked them up by the mouth.
No.
So, yeah, okay. And I think that was a mother and a motherly instinct known as a little baby. You got to protect it.
Yep.
And I do believe that. I don't care what anyone thinks. That's my belief in it. I know some people will condemn me for it, but I don't care. And tell you the truth, I learned so much in the last 3 years from a lot of people. And so, the thing is, I try to keep an even keel with it and try not to get myself too hyped up on some of the bad things I hear about it compared to all the good things I heard about doing this research. And yeah, you're going to have bad things said in that. Yeah, like if they're getting aggressive, you got to keep an open mind. And I'm not lying, Steve. I learned so much in the last 3 years from you, from Corky, Brian Seach, Jamie King, Mary Fabian, Doug Waller. The list goes on and on and on. And
Brian Seach, I was just before you started saying about that, he was one that I was going to mention. He's very knowledgeable and knows what's going on out there.
Yes.
He's someone that people can learn a lot from.
Well, if you ain't lying, oh my God, I was in the S-File room. Oh, Jesus. I'm going back down there and spend a whole day in that room.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that, with all things said, there are so many good people out there, but we got some bad ones.
Yeah.
We do have some bad ones. And the bad ones, I don't put up with.
No,
I don't. And I try to stay away. And, Brian and Terry Seach has taught me a lot. There's no doubt about it. And like with my event back in March, they helped me so much on what to do, how to do it, and the whole 9 yards. And that's why I said I didn't make it such a success. Everyone involved did. I put it out there. I was hosting it, but the speakers, the vendors, the people coming, made it a success. Sure in heck wasn't me, and I wish it was, but it wasn't just for me, And I learned a lot. Even though I got pulled every which way but loose, different things people told me. And, like everything has a vibration. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie and Jenny showed how plant talk through vibrations. I didn't get to see that. I got pulled to the other end and I missed it. And I wanted to catch it. So I told them they got to have a private showing for me. But, and the thing is, what you're sharing and saying how things was like down on Rocky Fork and down on 57, you learn things from that too.
Yeah.
Like you thought that one just disappeared, but a blink of the eye, it turned and ran across between it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're that fast. They really are. And I ain't lying. In the last 3 years, I learned so much more, and I appreciate audience. I really do. And but before I keep giving you guys all the praise, I want to ask you a very important question.
Yes.
Take payments on Nova?
Hey.
What?
He asked if you take payments on Nova.
Why is he going to take the one that I want to keep?
Because you get to see him all the time now.
Hold on. Now, hold on.
She's grabbing Nova,
No, hold on.
I think.
No, hold on.
She's saying, no, hold on. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Jamie and Jenny King too, because they're very knowledgeable. They can bring a whole new aspect and a way of thinking about certain things.
Yes, they did. And they
bring a lot of light to a lot of things.
They brought so much to me.
Archie.
Eh.
That's Archie.
Oh, Archie. Look at that eye. But yeah, well, Jamie's one of my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one he instilled in my head. And I mean, he really instilled it in my head. Think outside the box, deduct.
Uh-huh.
And before you even think it might have been. And he's right. And that's what I tell everyone. You got to deduct it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Was it weather? Was it natural? Was it human? Was it animal? But you'll never hear me say, definitely Bigfoot. No, that probably is. Because once you deduct everything.
Right.
And when it comes to tree structures, I'm very skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
There's
certain trees out there, even like a lot of people will find some limbs and stuff that are leaning up against trees, and some of them may have fallen or whatever, where they're crisscrossed. And I if you find a big X formation, sometimes it could be natural, maybe sometimes it isn't, but there are certain trees out there that do like a self pruning, and I don't remember exactly which species of trees they are, but there was a guy that used to be part of the Sosby group, and it has been quite a while ago now, and there was a little bit of a falling out there, and I don't speak to the guy anymore, but I did learn a lot from him while he was there. He was knowledgeable,
right,
and I'd been in the woods with him a few times, and he showed me certain trees that have self-pruning, where limbs will actually, at a certain age, start falling off of these trees.
Yes.
And they'll all pile up at the bottom of that tree. And a lot of times they end up looking like a structure that no way possible that Mother Nature could have created that. But in actuality, it did.
Yeah.
Show this one.
Here's what Stewart says. I don't count any structures unless I find several of them. I have a hard time when it's pine. Oh my God.
I don't know if I want to keep Nova or Zoe. Want to keep Nova or Zoe. That's my problem.
Oh my God.
She's a flashy brindle.
Oh my God. You're breaking my heart.
I'll let you know which one I keep.
Future.
All right. You do that, Donna. I'll surprise my wife. Oh my God, she's gonna kill me.
Archie, he already weighs 3 pounds. He's only 3 weeks.
You know what? I already got those 2 big ones. Oh, and he's gonna be a monster.
She's got a big shepherd.
Yeah.
She's big shepherd.
Let me show him.
Now,
Hold these 2 up.
like with these structures,
Riley's
getting all worked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, 98% of the structures are natural weather type construction.
Mhm.
But then you do have the other 2%. And I seen the 2%. And I can actually say it's definitely possibly Bigfoot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely got it. It definitely got to be Bigfoot. I ain't saying it is, but it got to be. And now I've seen those ones. Now the X ones, the only time I really consider X being possible Bigfoot, if the root ball's up in the air on the X.
Yeah.
Then it's like, maybe so, because they're not going to fall and put the root ball up in the air like that.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like that.
Now, I found over here by Mosquito Lake, I up on the north end, I found a couple things up there here a couple years ago. And Kaylee, do me a favor and put a handful of food in there with her.
I just gave her some cheese.
Grab a handful of food and put it in there, please. That way she'll quit. I'll let her out here in a minute. But anyways, there was, I don't what kind of trees were those? I don't remember what kind, but they were big, round trees, and it wasn't too far away from there. A tree here, and then catty corner from it, kind of the same situation. There was a big tree here, catty corner from that one, there was a big tree. Now, wedged in between both sets of those big trees was a log that was probably at least, I'm going to say, as big around as I am.
Okay.
And the root ball part of it was up in the air, and the other end of it, where it was broke off, was the part that was down at the ground. And then it was wedged up in between the tree, and up here is the end that originally was in the ground. Now, how did that get up in there?
That's, yep.
You know,
that's a big possibility there.
The log itself, I'm going to say, was at least 7 or 8 feet long and as big around as what I am. So one human being is not going to pick that up and put it up in there like that.
No. And Jack said he's seen X's that trees were brought there.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. The one area I go and research, I go through the Pine Grove area there. There's a big pine grove. And right in the middle of that area, now I was there a couple of days before and I went back. I'm going through. There's about a 12 or 15 foot long elm limb there. And toward the base end of that elm limb was about 7-8 inches around, in the middle of pine trees. No elm trees there. Who in the hell would carry that in there and just drop it?
Exactly.
And I went live and showed it, and I says, I'm not saying what it is or how it got here, but I don't see a human carrying it in here. And I went up and around with my phone showing people I'm in the middle of pine trees, a big pine grove area. how did they get there? How did that one get there? And then we didn't have no high winds that snapped it off and threw it in there.
Right.
Something brought it in and dropped it there.
Mm-hmm. It was imported in.
Yep. Very much so. And so, yeah. And like Jack, I've seen X's like that. Randy, he says, yeah, only difference, the only other explanation could be debris from a tornado. We didn't have high winds at all that week, so it couldn't have flown that far. Or I could agree with you, Randy, and tell my buddy I said hello. Ryder, you better be watching. His little grandson. Yeah, but you know, those things makes you really think hard and try to figure it out. I don't know. That's another part of this rabbit hole we're in. And I'd like to be like Jane Goodall was with the gorillas and that. You know, I'd like to be able to be amongst some of them and watch what they're doing and see why they do it and how they're doing it and for what reason. And I don't know if I can ever do that in my lifetime. You know, I hope we get a lot more answers now that, and even on the scroll in there, I wrote Bigfoot is mainstream now. And I've been saying that for a while. The internet has blown him up so big now. Everywhere you go, you see something about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. But that brings out the hoaxers too. Now,
see, that's the bad thing about all that is with the hoaxing, and it's just like no matter, you know, if you went out in the woods tomorrow and got the most clear video, live video, and pictures of a real, genuine Bigfoot, 20 feet away, he walked right past you like he didn't even know you were there, you know, and you videoed him the whole entire time. And you know in your mind what you saw, what you videoed, what you recorded, etc., and you know it was real. This thing's 7.5, 8 feet tall, maybe bigger, 500 to 1,000 pounds, whatever. And then you post that video, and people are going to pick it apart. They're going to tell you that you're hoaxing. It's a fake. It's not real. So it's almost like it does put a good understanding on why there is a lot of people out there that don't like to share. They won't put their stuff out there because, you know, they're like, why should I? You know, people are going to talk to me in a way of they're going to try to belittle me. They're going to pick it apart. They're going to call me a hoaxer, a fake. You know, if my pictures are too clear, they're fake, they're hoaxed. If they're too grainy, you know, they're just a tree stump or it's a shadow.
Yes, I agree 110%. Now, here's the other thing, too. The P&G film, 1967. I had this lady, because I posted on a local site about, I got the Agents of the Unexplained. I researched Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, UFOs, whatever. You know, I'm not here to get ridiculed, but I'm here to find out if anyone had any experiences with any of it.
Right.
A couple people laughed their butts off at me, and I don't care. I really don't care. The other thing happened, and it totally blew me out of the water. This lady, she said when she was a teenager coming back from skating, it was February. She was a teenager coming back from skating in February. I don't know if they were at a roller skating rink or ice skating. I this totally blew me out of the water. I forgot to ask her. And she said 1962, a Bigfoot walked across the road on Route 58 up near the Tennessee Pipeline Compressor Station up there on Route 58 going from Mercer, PA to Greenville. They got home. She told her parents. They said, you didn't see nothing. You keep your mouth shut and don't talk about it again. She believes her dad seen it because he got real upset. And then you turn around. She talked to a farmer that lived in behind him.
Mm-hmm.
He said that, yeah, I seen him 3 times, but I told people and they said I was crazy. So I quit telling everyone.
Yeah.
That's 1962. That was before the P&G film.
Mm-hmm.
That totally blew my mind because, at first when I saw the P&G film and I'm thinking, yeah, they're out west. They're not around here. I couldn't have been more wrong. Couldn't have been more wrong. She proved me right, And I was supposed to go on a talk radio show later that week. And I go to her, can I use this on the radio show? I won't use your name. I won't give exact location. She says, go ahead and give the location. I don't care. People need to know. Just don't use my name because my family thinks I'm crazy as it is. God love her. And I did. And I still talk about it. 1962, one was seen here in Mercer County, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. And Randy Heath's wife, Mary, January 23rd this year. My birthday, that's how I know. And I was upset because she didn't call me to give me this birthday present. She saw one outside of Greenville, PA. And it's an active area where not a lot, but several has been seen throughout over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other paranormal going on. What's going on with it? My phone ain't charging for some reason. Oh, man. I hope the thing didn't die. Oh, there it goes. It's charging now. But the thing is that they're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Last spring, a year ago last spring, one crossed the road in front of a female that was in law enforcement. She had to pull off the side of the road and she started getting sick and crying over it. And there's a guy that was in a pickup truck behind her that worked construction, pulled off behind her. And he come up, you all right? She says, yeah, did you see that? He says, yes, I did. 2 witnesses. Jamie King got the report. That was May of last year. So they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago in March, almost in that same general area, close to that general area where me and Brenda Sproul found a trackway that went over 100 yards, 14-inch prints. Oh, they're getting excited again. But
sometimes they hear things. They'll be sitting there nice and quiet, and next thing you know, they're barking and growling, running to the door, and nobody's here or anything like that.
Let me tap on the desk here. My dog's a start. I know. But yeah, so, and I know you got some activity in your areas too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly where I know the general area, and I know there's activity over that way.
Yeah,
I've heard it.
Out here in just outside of Cortland, we're Fowler Township.
Yep.
In fact, a guy that does some electrical work for us told me a story outside here a while back. He come out and replaced our mercury light for us, barn light, and he started talking about Bigfoot and UFOs and stuff like that. And it was kind of weird because up to that point, I had never even told him anything about even belonging to a Bigfoot investigative group or
Yeah.
the Bigfoot stuff on Facebook or
Yeah.
bouts and stuff like that. He started talking about it, and he said, "You'd be surprised at what's around here. Some of the old timers know about it. A lot of the newer people don't, the younger people." But he said him and his wife were sitting at the outside on the step the one evening and watched one come out of the woods. He doesn't own the woods, but his neighbor does. And they watched it from across the field. He said it looked like a giant linebacker run out of the woods, took a deer down, and drug it right back into the woods.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
said the guy that owns the property tell you that they've been there forever.
That's the thing. It's the thing, and you don't know how happy that makes me feel too, knowing that they've been here for that long.
Yeah.
It's an awesome feeling knowing that my area is pretty good.
Yeah.
And me and Jamie King, we share this area. Okay. It's an awesome area. I try to stay out of most of his where he goes and research, which is kind of hard because he researches everywhere where I go. But if I find something different, I message him right away. Say, hey, I'm right here at this so-and-so area. Have you seen this? Damn, every time he has. So it's great. It's really great because I rely on him for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And there for a while, my wife, she had to have that back surgery and that. Right. And before that, she was almost bedridden. And so I had to do so much here and work around my daughter's schedule if I was able to go anywhere.
Right.
And it was hell. I couldn't get out as much. And I'm getting out more now, but she still needs help because she's still recovering. She's walking better, but it's still kind of hard. So it's kind of hard for me getting out like I was. And you have some medical things going on, so you haven't been out as much either.
Right.
And that's why I'm hoping you can make our camp out. I really am. And I understand the other situation. Wait a minute. I did you see the footprints in the mud that Jay posted? I didn't.
I'm not sure if was it recently that he posted it, or I haven't noticed anything recent. But I haven't been on as much as what I normally am.
What you mean? Life took over from the computer? Yeah, I wasn't on much lately either, but no, I didn't see it. And he said yes, it was recent. I guess we're going to have to look that one up.
Yeah.
But yeah, but let me hear about the monkey farm.
Wild. I remember we were camping out. It was, I think, the first time I camped in Coshocton County at this other spot that the Sosby group has that we go to every once in a while. Like, we'll go to Salt Fork there at Group Camp Parker Road. And then maybe a few weeks later, there'll be a different camp out. It'll be in this area in Coshocton over there by Wills Creek area. And not too far from Jay's place, And he told me, because he knew I was coming out there, he goes, get ready. He goes, I'm going to take you out to the monkey farm. So I said, okay. I've heard all about it, the stuff I've seen you guys posting on Facebook and stuff like that, your pictures and stuff. And stuff you've been telling me about coming to group camp and talking about it. So I was really looking forward to it. So it was like, I just woke up, literally crawled. At that point, I had my camper that I had down there, had it all laid out, had the awning out, and I just rolled out of bed. It was early. I thought I heard something moving around outside right by my awning. So I'm like, I wonder who's out there this early. So I peeked through the blinds. There's Jay standing out there. So I hurry up, got ready, put my boots on and everything, grabbed my hat, and out the door I went. And he's like, "You ready to go?" He goes, "I got a few places to show you, and then we're headed to the monkey farm." So I said, "All right, let's go." I was looking forward to it. Not disappoint. You know, the few places he took me to prior to going up until we went to the monkey farm, awesome areas. We had a few odds and ends happen, nothing really significant until we got to the monkey farm. And then it was just like mind blowing. Like we watched a black one and a white one. I mean, they were a long ways out away from us. I mean, we're talking about 500 yards, if not more, out in this field. Might have been more than 500 yards. I mean, this big, huge field. There was a black and white one. They looked like, I don't know if they were juveniles or they were full grown, but they were far enough away. You really couldn't tell how tall they were. But
Yeah.
they were out there wrestling with each other, throwing each other around.
WWE style, yes.
Exactly. And when they would start shoving and pushing each other, it would take no time at all for one of these guys to run the other one backwards every bit of 100 yards. And then the other linebacker, you know, like hit this one, they'd run him back this way another 50 yards. And this went on for a good while. We sat there and watched this, and I was just shocked. I'm sitting there thinking, am I really watching this? Like, is this reality? Because people just don't see this.
Right.
You know, not hard ever in a lifetime. We're watching these two Bigfoot out there wrestling with each other. And then there was on the other far side of the field, there was a looked like a pickup truck or a farm truck that was coming down that was going to drop off. Looked like he had a trailer load of like branches and limbs and stuff, like brush. Well, they had seen this truck coming and they disappeared. They hightailed it into the woods and was gone. So we go over, driving around the monkey farm. We come over to this other spot and we get out and we're standing there and we're watching over along this, towards this railroad trestle, not trestle, but railroad bed where the tracks go down through here. And there's this big, huge culvert pipe that comes through. I could probably stand up and walk through it. And then there's like a big rock wall or a cement wall. And there's a bunch of trees that overhang all this. And then there was a stump right here. I looked over and I said, Jay, I said, I think there's a small one. It looks like a juvenile standing like a real dark brownish red color to the left on the edge of this like fallen down tree. And I looked at the ground out in front of it and I'm looking at this with his binoculars.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit closer than the ones that were out in the field. And what are they called? Them turkey buzzards.
Yep.
There must have been 4 or 5 of them on the ground. It looked like they were eating off of something that was dead over there. And you look not even 5 feet away from those turkey buzzards, standing on the edge of this fallen down tree / tree stump thing, was a Bigfoot. It looked like a juvenile. Plain as day. I could see it from head to toe, its arms. It was standing there like a statue staring at these turkey vultures, eating whatever it was on the ground that was dead. And it had its one arm out. And it was standing there like this with one arm behind it. And it was just standing there motionless like a statue. And I'm like, Jay, look, it's right there. And I'm getting all excited about it. I'm like, oh, now I can't believe this. We ain't been here an hour. I've seen 3 Bigfoot. Like,
yeah.
Class A. And this thing's standing there. Next thing you know, it jumps off of this tree, this limb or branch, whatever, not a branch, but like this broken piece that's on it that it's standing on. And it tried to catch one of those turkey vultures. The turkey vulture just made it. It almost got caught. And it literally, it leapt off of this thing. And when it did, you could see the hair on its arms where it was hanging down.
Yeah.
Like flowing. Like as soon as it jumped, you just seen the hair on it go.
Oh, wow.
Tried to grab the turkey vulture, just missed it. Hit the ground on both feet running. circled around and disappeared back here, like back in this area.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little funnel area, these woods where it comes out and juts
That's
back
awesome.
in. Went back in there and disappeared, and I never seen that one again. But
That is awesome. That is
Jay's like,
awesome.
hey, come over here and look at this, and we get over to this other spot, and he's like, tell me what's over there on that log that's laying across these stumps down over this, where it kind of goes back in, and there's a bunch of deadfall and stuff back in there. Well, here's this reddish blonde one sitting back in there on this log, plain as day, with its back facing us, and it's holding a little one. And this little one couldn't have been but, like, I don't know, the size of our dog. So it was a young juvenile.
Right.
It was actually holding on to it like a person would, like this, and was kind of like resting over its shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we tried to get closer to that to get a better view. And by the time we come around this little area and tried to sneak up behind them, they were gone. They probably knew we were coming.
Yeah.
Either heard us or smelled us or
Yeah.
something. And it was gone. By the time we got there, it was gone. There's an embankment that goes up to these tracks, railroad tracks, and they'll hide up inside the brush and the greenery, and you won't even know that they're there. They'll stick their head up out, and that's what you'll see them, like, lift their head up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Now, one picture Jay showed me, well, there were several of them together, where the one was walking across that roof line of the one building. And you can, plain as day, you knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Plain as day. And it was not a human.
No,
No. And
we watched at the monkey farm. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We watched another one come out, and I think it knew we were sitting there watching it. It never stood up. It stayed low to the ground. I've never seen one do this before. It was on its belly, sprawled out with his arms and back legs out just like this, and was laying flat on the ground and was crawling along the ground like a spider.
Spider walking. Yep.
And it would lift its head up like this and look around, and then it would flatten itself out on the ground and just, like, it was just creeping around on the ground, like real weird, like almost something out of a nightmare kind of thing. And it just crawled back into the woods and disappeared.
Yep. I've never seen one. Well, I only saw the one, but I've heard so many people say about the spider walk. He said you caught one on thermal at Beaver Creek too.
Beaver Creek.
Was that the dog man? Was that Bigfoot?
Beaver Creek. Oh, with Corky.
Yeah.
That was a Bigfoot. I think it was a Bigfoot. I don't think it was a dog man. We were getting howls, and you could hear stuff moving around and vocals and all kinds of stuff going on that night. We were at the RC airfield over there at Beaver Creek, where people fly their remote control stuff. Yeah.
Corky's been wanting me to go there with him.
It's a nice little.
We made several different plans to go, but always something came up. Yeah.
It's a good spot. We had a lot of vocals that night out there. And you get out, you park over here by the gate, and you can go walk halfway up, and there's an actual picnic. There was a picnic table up there. You can put all your gear out and just set everything down. And then you can walk the tree line up over the hill, up the ridge or whatever, and put like your recorders out and do whatever. And we were getting some vocals and some howls and stuff like that, and some weird noises. And I had my thermal out, and I was watching to the left of us up towards this tree line, because that's where we were getting a lot of noise from, like coming from behind us and back up that direction. And it happened so fast, I didn't get no picture of it. I didn't get a video or anything like that with the little unit that I have. But as we're standing there and I'm watching the screen, all of a sudden, plain as day, one runs out of the woods, full speed ahead, like flying as fast as a deer could run, I'm telling you. This thing flew out of the woods, stopped, turned, was looking around, and turned and went, shot down this way and cut right up into the woods, and it was gone just that fast. I looked at Corey. I'm like, dude, I just seen one come out of the woods running. It just fast. I mean, it was there and then gone. It just happened so fast. But full head to toe, heat signature, upright, bipedal, pitch black dark that night. And there wasn't anything else it could be. I know it wasn't a person. People don't run that fast unless you're the Bionic Man or something like that.
But he died already, so couldn't have been him. But no, seriously, when you see something like that there, what's your thoughts at first?
I don't consider myself, I'm nowhere near, and none of us are experts. None of us are, we're always learning. And that rabbit hole that you proverbial rabbit hole that you talked about, no matter what you learn, you always learn something new the next time. And it always seems like that rabbit hole gets a little wider and a little deeper.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't seem like there's an end to it. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where no matter how many times or how many encounters that you may have or what you think might be an encounter, it never gets to the point of it's just another sighting or it's just
that's the thing.
Every time anything happens, it's like it's the first time all over again. And I'm
glad you're saying that,
just
because
it'll leave you pumped up for days on end, and you got to go get more, and you got to learn more, and you got to keep going. And it's
now, I'm glad you're saying that, because on one of the first podcasts that I was on, I was asked, if and when you see another one, how do you think you're going to react? And I went, I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be shocked, overexcited, or fill my pants. I don't know. Only time will tell, Yeah. And I'm glad you said what you did.
And I think it's a lot of that. Everything that you just described of the emotions, the feelings, everything that comes over you. I think it's a little bit of every one of those all combined into one. It can scare you. It can intrigue you. It can excite you. Put you at awe. It can make your hands shake, nervous.
Oh, hell yes.
Just completely, just the adrenaline from it.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I had a hard time dealing with my reaction to it. Okay. You're a big boy, Steve, and I wouldn't have been afraid of getting in a fight with you. It wouldn't have bothered me a bit. I never got scared of anything. And I'm not lying. Anything. I might have got startled a few times, but I never was afraid of nothing. And one of my best friends for years, he's listening in, and while he was, and he'll tell you, I don't care. I'll fight you in a drop of a hat. Well, that scared me when I saw mine. And I actually ran backwards to get back up the hill farther away from it, because it was only 15 feet away from me. And I saw how big it was. And it was only around 7 foot tall. But the size of that thing just totally blew me away. It took me a couple weeks to figure out what it did to me. And what it did to me made me realize I'm not the superhuman being I thought I was. I'm just human. Because I finally got scared. It took me 62 damn years to learn I'm only human.
It's a very humbling experience.
And yeah, it is. And I finally realized I'm only human. I lost my superpower being superhuman. I'm joking around like that, but no, it got to me. And like Corky says, every experience leaves you wanting more. he's 100% right.
Mhm.
Not just wanting more experience, but wanting to learn more about them.
Mhm.
And now, I know I've grown a lot in this field. I know I did. And I've learned a hell of a lot. I'm nowhere close to your level of knowledge of it. And I'm being honest. One of these days, I hope to get there. Or Corky's knowledge with all that activity and stuff that happens around his place. Or the stuff Jay and the monkey farm. Jamie, Brian, all of them. I want to get to your guys' level. And I know it's going to take time. And I have grown a lot in this, but nowhere close to your guys' level. What, you see my ceiling? Okay, here. I didn't realize I pushed it back. Who said that? Oh, Randy did. You don't like looking at my ceiling, Randy? That's true. Cork says we're all students. That's very true.
Mhm.
Because there ain't one damn expert out there.
Nope.
And
Not even close.
the ones that said they're experts, I shy away from. And I actually left the group because one guy said he was an expert. I left the group because of it. Yes, that's white, Randy. You got a problem with white ceilings? Jeez, no. I painted it white for a reason. To reflect the light, because there was only that one little single light up there. And then I put that LED 4-footer up here. But the thing is, we're all trying to learn, but when you come across someone that says they're an expert,
Yeah.
that upsets me. I've yet to meet an expert. I've met people that are more knowledgeable, like you guys. But the thing is, like Corky said, we're all students, and I'm in kindergarten. No, seriously, I'm in kindergarten, and I appreciate you sharing everything you've been sharing too. That means a lot, because we can pick up on different things there. And now, like the stuff you said about 57.
Yeah.
You're not the only one that said stuff like that I heard.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's been quite a few people from different groups, from the Sosby group. Even, I've heard stories from a few people that aren't even part of the whole Bigfoot thing, but they believe Bigfoot's real. They've had encounters just because they go camping and, they're putting themselves out in that element of, they're in an area where there's been a lot of things happen. They know about 57. People have went there that aren't a part of a group or anything else and just went down there to
That's the thing.
and heard tree knocks and heard stuff going on. And then they come back and they're like, hey, what's going on down there? There's some weird stuff going on. They're like, yeah, there's Bigfoot activity going on down there. It always has been. And it's one of those places that is just, it's a really awesome place to go spend time at. I like going in, and it's not every single time that you go out that something happens. And
that's it.
it's not like, we go out there all the time and something happens every, you could go there, or you could go to the group camp, or you can go to the handicapped area, which is another good area. We've had stuff happen there. Throughout the whole park, there's good places and places just outside the park that most people either don't go or they don't know about. And that some of them places are just phenomenal as well. I mean,
I think it was on 52. Mary Fabian and I had some activity.
Yeah.
So yeah. The Cork says dual howls on 57.
Yeah.
So 57 is very well known because of the activity, and some of it's very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had a tree pushed over on them, to block their way out.
Yep, that was us.
Oh, that was you? Okay.
Yeah.
I know someone else was saying about it.
We had a whole bunch of people with us that night.
Oh.
Now the weird thing about that night, Bill, I'll tell you what, there was no wind, no breeze whatsoever. It was just dead calm. It was really super calm out. A real quiet night. You could one of those nights you could hear a pin drop if it dropped 50 yards away from you. That's how quiet it was. And we all drove down into 57 that night, and I'm going to say there must have been at least 8, 9 of us down there that night, maybe more. And we had like at least 3, 4, 5 vehicles down there that night. We drove down in, and the one guy that went with us, he had us drop him off about a quarter of the way down into 57 in the pitch black dark, and he wanted to walk. The rest of us drove down in, and he wanted to walk down in there by himself.
Was he a crazy type guy?
Yeah, I think he might have been playing with a few loose ones.
Yeah.
But,
my God.
He insisted on it, so we dropped him off, and we sat down there in that cul-de-sac waiting for him for quite a while. Didn't hear anything, nothing out of the ordinary, no weird feelings, no nothing. All of a sudden, here he comes. I was like, "Did you hear anything?" He said he heard like a weird whistle, like some sort of a bird whistle, but it was just one thing, and it could have been anything. Nothing that was substantial or concrete or anything like that. So he come down in there, and we stood down there for another half hour, 45 minutes, just listening, talking real quiet. Didn't hear nothing. So we decide we're going to leave, go somewhere else. I'm in the lead. I'm in my pickup truck, and I think they're back behind us. And the guy that was with us that night, he's over to the right, and he's in the passenger seat. And Doug Waller had told us prior to this, he goes, "You guys ought to start considering taking a chainsaw down there with you, because there's only one way in, one way out. And let's just say one of these things decides to knock a tree over in front of you and block you in from being able to get out of there." Well, we didn't have a chainsaw with us, but luckily, I think 2 or 3 of the guys that were with us had those little fold-out hand saws.
Yeah.
And as we come up out of 57, we come up around that first bend, not even 100 yards. Here's a big pin oak that was pushed over, laying across the road. This tree's this big around, and probably as long as, I don't know, this tree must have been at least anywhere from 70 to 80 feet tall. I mean, it was a big tree.
Oh, wow.
And as quiet as it was, no wind blowing, no nothing. You could hear a pin drop. How'd that tree come over and smash through the other trees and hit the road without making any noise whatsoever? We never heard it. It was dead quiet the whole time we were down there. Never heard it.
And going up around that bend's not that far from down at the bottom.
Right. And then where the tree came down at, off that embankment, up past the big uprooted root.
Yes.
From it was like a big, huge, massive uproot. There was 2 heat signatures back behind that was hiding behind that big uprooting.
Yes.
And they were just up there going like this, swaying back and forth, watching us.
Oh.
So I'm standing there, and the one lady that was part of the group at the time, I had her flare in it, and I'm sitting there while these guys are cutting this tree out so we could get out of there. I'm with the flare, making sure nothing's coming down at us off the hillside, and I'm sitting there watching these 2 heat signatures up there that's looking down, watching us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But they were able to put that tree on the ground without us hearing it come down. And it was big, heavy tree. No.
That was all.
That's just crazy too, you know. That's
What's that?
That was May 8th.
Yeah, it was May 8th of what? May 8th of 2015 that happened.
cool. Not cool, but cool. You know. Yeah, that makes you wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the day before I got married up there.
That's right.
Yeah.
You did get married up there.
Right there at the group camp on Park
Yeah.
Road. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how she remembers it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. And I forgot you guys did get married there. I think Corky told me that.
Yeah, we had a Bigfoot wedding. Salt
Yeah.
pork Bigfoot wedding.
I wish I knew you guys back then. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome to attend. All right, well, we got a few minutes left here. I got a question for your wife.
Okay.
Donna, I know you're not going to come on camera, but I know you can hear me.
He's talking to you. He's got a question for you. All right.
When are you coming to a camp out with us?
I don't know. I don't like it when I can't see what's in the door.
Are you guys going to have one in the fall?
I think so. I think Mike's still planning on doing it. If not, I'll plan one for us.
All right. 'Cause I told her the one you guys had last was it spring?
Yeah.
That Corky and I came down to. And
Yes.
we were there for the late afternoon, early evening hours and stayed till like
4 in the morning.
it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Like that. And I told her, I said, what a great time we had, how awesome everybody was. Got to meet everybody and met Mike for the first time, Mike Hartman, and everybody that was there.
When I can get time off work and I'll be staying up at the lodge.
She said as soon as she can get time off work, she said the only catch is she's probably going to stay at the lodge. She'll come over and visit during the daylight hours at group camp, and once it gets dark, she'll be hightailing it over to the lodge.
But yeah, like you said, how everyone got along, and that's the one thing I told everyone. We're there just to, share stories, learn new tricks, just get camaraderie. We're not there for attitudes. I'm better than thou. Any of that crap. No, we're all there to get along, learn from each other, have fun.
That's exactly what I told her too. When I got home that morning, I told her, I said, I said the camaraderie. I said everybody got along, everybody joked around together, everybody was able to take a joke as well as put it out there, and there was no attitudes. There was nobody thinking they were better than anybody. Everybody was on a level, even personality basis. Everybody just clicked together, and it was just amazing.
And I was doing that live podcast too.
Yeah.
And I kind of caught a bunch of yins off guard and said, Steve, you like to get up and talk. Corky, you want to get up and talk.
Yeah.
And said a little bit. I caught a lot of people off guard, and everyone got up, and talked and shared a little bit of knowledge. And
I enjoy it. I have no problem talking to people, or somebody wants to hear a story, somebody I never met before, and they just want to hear something that went on in a certain area. If I was ever there and had something go on, I'll more than happy to tell people about it, or anything I've ever witnessed out in the woods or anything.
The thing is that that's what it was all about. Mm-hmm. And everyone did it.
Yeah.
You know about how many campers we had the whole weekend, and they weren't there the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
Becky got up and talked too. You're right, Cork. where was I going? I just got sidetracked. What was I saying?
Oh, about the number of
Oh, the number of people. Yeah. And they weren't all there the whole from Thursday on. But
Right.
the number of campers that stayed in camp was 60.
Yeah.
60 of them. And it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably going to be more than that this time. From the response from that.
I wouldn't doubt it one bit. I was in awe when Corky and I pulled in and I seen all the vehicles, all the tents and the campers and the everything. And I was like, oh, wow, look at this. This is great. I said, these guys got it going here.
That
was nice. Real nice.
That's the thing. That's what I wanted. To get people there that enjoy it and realize, hey, this is awesome. We can all get along. We don't have to worry about attitudes and people think they're greater than thou. And
there was no egos or anything like that.
None. And believe me, I appreciate everyone that came. I really did, and I really appreciate when you and Court came. That got me really excited. But as excited as I got when Jay showed up Friday night, because I really wanted to meet you in person finally, and I knew I was going to meet Cork, and that made me even happier. I finally get to meet him in person, and and I consider you guys brothers now because. Not just because you showed up, but the knowledge and everything and how we can get along.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, believe me, if you have a question and you don't want to ask it here, you can contact Steve on Facebook. He'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Corky will talk to you. Any of us will.
Any of the names that you heard Bill mention, Jamie and Jenny King, Brian Terry Seach,
yes,
Jeff Wenger, message Bill himself or me or Corky Marp will go to Corky's research, or the Sosby group and ask Doug Waller. He's open. And
oh my God, yes.
You're not going to be looked down at. You're going to be talked to normal. And it's, we're the kind of people that, if you don't want to talk, that's fine. But there's nothing that you need to, anything that you've encountered or you may think you've encountered to feel ashamed of or scared or embarrassed that somebody's going to ridicule you or talk down to you and say you're crazy. None of us are like that at all. And most of us have been around long enough and witnessed enough to know that you've got to be open-minded enough and listen to what everybody has to tell you, because there's enough going on out there in this world that we don't understand. There's probably so much stuff that we haven't even begun to tap into yet that is just going to open up wormhole after wormhole. Once if we start to figure one thing out, it's probably going to lead into something else.
Yes.
We're going to be scratching our heads going, how in the world did this happen now?
Yeah.
We realize they can do this and they have this kind of capabilities or tech, and it's like,
that it is mind-boggling. And the one thing I learned about my camp out is how great people are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had some really experienced researchers that were camping. And then I had some newbies that wanted to learn. And I go to these experienced ones and I says, can I send a couple of these people with you so they can learn how to research? And you could show them, yes, bring them.
Mm-hmm.
They were willing to help one another.
Oh, yeah.
And now, no one around me, no one can feel ashamed of talking to me about it. And they're not going to get ridiculed. And I proved that since I was a chapter lead for the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project before I became co-executive director. And the chapter lead for Mercer Lawrence County, I had this couple come to one time, and for a change, it was a very small crowd that was there.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we get 25, 30, 35 people. Well, including me, we might have had 12, so it was a small one. And this couple came, and I was outside talking to someone that was having a cigarette. And I said hi to him as he's coming in. And the wife goes, "Is this where the Bigfoot meeting is?" I says, "Yes. If you go right in and turn to your right, once you go through the 2 doors there, go to your right, we'll be in there." She goes, "All right, thank you." And her husband looked at me and says, "And I ain't saying nothing." She says, "Yeah, I had to drag him here." And I says, "You don't have to." And I'm thinking, and the way he said it, you can tell he was very apprehensive, but he said it firmly, like he didn't want to talk, which is fine. I don't care. He can hear some stuff, and maybe he'll loosen up. Well, finally, I said, "Oh, the hell with that." I walked around and talked to everyone individually, and then I went to them almost last. And I introduced myself. I says, "I'm Bill. I'm the one putting this on. I'm the chapter lead. And, I'm glad you guys came." I said, "This is a small crowd for a change." And he goes, "That's all right. I'm still not going to talk. I don't want to talk about what happened." I went, "I'm not here to pressure you to talk at all. Just, you mind if I tell you what happened with me?" And he goes, "Go ahead." So I sat down and I explained what happened to me and how it affected me and the whole 9 yards. And you know what? He opened up. He found out that other ones have some experience. And I know he was telling the truth. When he was telling me what happened, he had tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
You could see it. You hear it in his voice. And he's a big guy like you, Steve. And it affected him really bad. And he's a member of our group. And he comes to the meetings. He came to my conference, him and his wife. And they support it big time now. And he wants to get out and go on some investigations with us, but he works all week. And a lot of times my investigations were during the week. Right. But I'm going to get him out this summer with me on a couple. And, really great people. They really are. But they've learned they can open up. And of course, I didn't say their names. I didn't say where it happened at because they didn't want me to. But it happened the Mercer Lawrence County area.
Right.
And I know exactly where it happened at to him. And I can understand why it shook him up like it did. But, it's the thing is, it's guys like you, Corky, even Mary Fabian, Brian, Jamie, any of us. Now, we're willing to listen. We're willing to talk to you about it, the whole 9 yards. And no one's going to get ridiculed.
No.
Yeah. We'll give you our opinion, what it might have been or could have been or whatever. But I know I say, well, this is my opinion. I think maybe they were just checking you out, or that you might have been near one of their young ones. That's why they did a bluff charge or something like that. But I would never tell, well, this is what that happened to you and this is why. No, this could have been the reason. So you don't know. But you got to make them feel comfortable enough to understand stuff too. And I know people have come to you and talked to it and wanted to hear your side of stuff, along with other ones. And me and Corky's talked about different things happening, and Corky gives his opinion freely, and it, like you said, it's his opinion. It's not exactly, it could have been. So, it's like, that's the way we got to be. But anyhow, it's about 9:05.
Yeah, it's always do everything you can to help people out with it, and help them try to get through it if it affected them in a bad way. Help them understand it and maybe cope with it a little bit better. And just, and if it pushed them into something that they want to be more active into it, or get to learn, more knowledge, more like learn about it. Some people, even if it affected them badly, it affected them also to the point of, I want to learn about this. I want to know what this is. I want to, I want to start going to the campouts and meeting people that have had these encounters like I did, and share with them, so it will help me through it. At the same time, I want to be part of this, and never leave someone behind. Never leave someone behind.
No, never. And that's the thing. You're 100% right. And I already believed, and I was learning, and before I had my sighting. I thought I was learning a lot then. I sure in hell in the last 2 years learned a hell of a lot more. Mm-hmm. And that's no lie. And because here we go with that proverbial rabbit hole. And the information's out there that we can learn more and form opinions on stuff. But at the same time we're forming these opinions, we got to keep an open mind. And that's one thing my number one mentor told me: keep an open mind. Mm-hmm. Because, someone asked me, do you think they're interdimensional? I don't know. The one I saw wasn't interdimensional, and it didn't jump through portals. But I don't know. It's a possibility they can. I'm not going to say no way, no way, no way. Because none of us really knows.
Right.
So I'll keep an open mind to it. Some people think that's woo if they're interdimensional. Not really. Scientifically, you can prove interdimensional does work. I put up a reel up on my agent's page of a portal in a parking garage. I don't know if it's true or fake, but it sure in hell looked true to me.
Yeah.
And I put true or fake on the top of it. And my buddy Robbie Sherwood put the best way. And he said, there's different realms that surround us. And portals is one way of getting from one realm to another. He says, look, heaven and hell is part of our realm. But we need a portal to go through. And that's where our spirits end up going through a portal. He goes, and that's how some people end up in places they don't know how they got there. I know that's giving Corky more ammunition toward mine. First thing, but he's right. So we got to keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, it's almost 10 after 9. I'm going to do my outro, but stick around, Steve.
Okay.
A couple things I want to say to you before we get out of here. And everyone, thank you for listening. Steve, you've been awesome.
Thank you much. I appreciate the invite to be on the show, on your podcast tonight. Very much appreciated.
You got a lot more to share, and I will have you back. Okay. I know you got a lot more information.
All right.
You've been at this too damn long just to give me that little tidbits. But anyhow, folks, thank you again. Really appreciate you. And the next day, so it's going to be nice. Get out, enjoy the nature. And even if you don't see a Bigfoot or see signs, get out there and enjoy it. We're supposed to get snow Tuesday. So I don't like that drastic change. And I will talk to you all soon.
This has been an Agents of the Unexplained original podcast. Like us on Facebook, subscribe and view on YouTube, and please visit our store link in the bio. Thank you for listening, and remember that paranormal is the new normal.